What's up, Care Factor Nation? Rich Malachy here on a very special edition of the Care Factor podcast. I have another special guest in-house, and his name is Dave Morris. He's with All Points, and we're going to let him introduce himself to the nation. Please do so.
Thanks, Rich. Dave Morris, All Points, VP of Sales. I've been in the industry for a long time.
Yeah.
So I came in 2000, working for Ecolab when they owned GCS,
Okay.
and I did that for a few years, and then I joined a company called Heritage. And
Yes, we know Heritage. Yep.
Yep, we created the Master Parts Distributor program that's used today, and we were very successful. Sold Heritage. I moved on. I ended up with a dealer, Horizon Equipment, out of Eagan, Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Had a terrific time with Horizon. Great bunch of guys worked there, and this last fall, an opportunity came up to consider come to work for All Points to help get their sales where they want them to be.
Sure.
So I'm given a lot of leeway to do what I think we should do, and we've got a great leader in Tom Pendry and
Yeah.
new CEO. So we're a new team,
Yeah.
and we're having a lot of fun. We're creating a lot of good value for the service community. That's our number one customer are the service companies. So
Sure.
we've got a project going with chemicals that we're launching at our distribution centers, where we have our 5 distribution centers, and then
Okay.
we also have a McDonald's where we're doing some McDonald's business and a set of McDonald's parts, and then we have a refurbished board program that we're getting ready to launch. So we've got some really good
Interesting things coming
going
down the pipe.
Absolutely.
We'll talk more about that. But before we get to that, talking about the industry as a whole and how people find their way here. So I always find it interesting. If you're not in a family business kind of atmosphere, it's always interesting to find out how somebody makes it to this industry. And we're constantly talking about new talent, new technicians, new people finding their way to the industry, and how do we get them there. So I would love for you to maybe talk a little bit about young Dave, maybe back I don't know, in the 70s or the 80s, or how did you even find your way to the industry?
Okay. In my youth, in my 20s, I worked for Sears. So Sears and Roebuck. So I was a retail guy.
Okay.
And I managed different parts of Sears, some of the local business units, and I became a service district manager. And I did that. I spent 21 years with Sears.
Oh, wow.
And then I was recruited away by Montgomery Ward. And at Montgomery Ward, I was there 9 years, and I got promoted 4 times, and I ended up on the corporate staff, and I was the national parts manager. So I ran their parts.
So Montgomery Ward, I'm actually not familiar.
Yeah, they're a retail company. They used to be number 2 behind Sears, and then we competed. Monkey Wards. I mean, so it's been gone since 2000. So memories are starting to fade on it, but it was a significant retailer back in its day.
Okay.
And when that company went out of business, we were owned by GE Capital, and they pulled the plug on us. Then Ecolab approached me because they were putting in some new technology. So I came to run the GCS parts business, and I did that 3 wonderful years, and left there to join Heritage. So, and then I've gone to a dealer. I spent a little bit of time at SMG, Service Management Group,
Yes,
selling Warranty Central into the industry.
Oh, I know it. Yeah.
So now I'm with All Points, so it seems like a really good fit, and that's where I've gotten from A to B.
Awesome. So and now you're out here obviously trying to get these sales back where you want to build these up, and you're visiting service companies. We're as service companies, skilled technicians, skilled trades. We're working real hard to find new talent and figure that out. What do you see out there? We're going to be going from service company to service company. You're seeing the same thing, I imagine.
It's exactly the same thing. Everybody could use 3 or 4 more techs, especially this time of year. So how do you go about getting them? It's not. We don't have trade schools. We have refrigeration trade schools.
Yeah, you have them,
you
but
have-
they're not hyper focused to what we do.
No, they're not. And so ideally what most people do is they hire a refrigeration tech.
Yeah.
And then the refrigeration tech gets on-job training and learns to do the hot side. That's typically where we're going. And let's face it, the equipment's being built better. So it doesn't feel like it used to.
Yeah, technology coming in place.
Technology's becoming a big part of that. So the technician of today needs to know more than just to read a meter. They've got to be able to diagnose computer boards and a lot of circuitry and stuff like that, where we didn't have to in the past. So our industry is evolving. Are we going to always have trouble getting technicians? I think so. I think that's going to be But there are ways to get technicians, and a couple of things that are going against us is full employment in the country does not lend itself to finding people. So
Yeah.
it drives prices up. But bringing over refrigeration techs is probably that's the only solution I can come up with.
Yeah.
We've tried through the military and bringing
Yes.
people in from the
Yep.
military. And, a few years ago, George Nicholson and Vet to Tech was really trying to bring that in. I don't think that really took off, and I'm not real sure why. It just seems like it wasn't the right time and the right place,
Right.
the right formula or whatever.
I've seen it out there. I've never really participated with it.
Yeah, it was.
I can't tell you why.
It was kind of a recruiting
Yeah.
software, and but it just didn't take off like we thought it would.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and so important right now. I mean, I've spoken and I've said this on many different podcast sessions, episodes, but I've spoken to high school one time, the local high school, and I plan on doing it again. I'm doing it because I want to continue to cultivate and bring new young guys on board. So I hired 2 guys from that presentation, and once these 2 guys are fully trained and on a van, hopefully in the next few months, I'll be talking with them. I'm gonna go back and do it again. So I always try to urge other.
you may have something
Something
that
to
you
it.
could package that's scalable that your peers could use.
Yes.
And there might be a market for it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So-
That's not a bad idea. That's actually something. I think we are thinking about that in some terms, especially with gold collar stuff. I don't know if you see any of my content where I talk about gold collar technicians, but yeah. So let's go back to some of the stuff with all points now, because I'm actually curious for the chemical. What kind of chemicals
Well,
are we talking? We're talking about
have
descalers and
descalers and carbon off. I mean, the whole gamut. We have about 100 chemicals, and we can ship. There's about 4 or 5 hazmat items that you got to be a little careful shipping, but the other stuff you can ship.
yeah,
Some of it you can only ship a bottle of one. You can't ship a case.
right.
So we have that knowledge, and we have the chemicals. I think there in the past was reluctance to do it because of the unknown. But I think somebody, and it's got to be us, I think, because we're the industry leaders, we need to go after that segment, and we are. And that's we've got new displays in our showroom floors, which are in Las Vegas, Orlando, Houston, and Mount Prospect, Illinois, and then we have one at our FMP sister company here in New Jersey,
Yeah.
in Lumberton.
Yeah, nice. And so, I'm actually going to spin this into something else now. Media. So, obviously, I'm doing a lot of things on the media front, and I believe in it wholeheartedly that we can really, if we can get together online, we could really make our industry noisy, and I think it really will help us attract more talent as well. But I don't know. I haven't really looked too far into All Points, but I don't see too much going on in media. Do you have any input on what's going on with media stuff for All Points and how they?
I
feel?
think we've got a new team and web presence and stuff like that. I mean, we launched a new website
yes
in January, brand new. It's
I like it.
really a good. So we're still at the evolution stage, but we have some very dynamic people that's working on the project. So social media is important. I don't think we're not there yet, but
Right.
we are making strides to get there, and we're
Yeah.
doing it at a very fast pace.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll open the door. I mean, I'll welcome if anybody wants to utilize myself and Angel to help get some things going. Maybe we could start talking and get All Points going online.
Well, you guys are always invited to come and see us, and we'd like to set something up like that. That would be great.
We'll be there. Angel, mark it. So, the industry as a whole, things are changing. There's buyouts, there's acquisitions. It's been interesting for service companies like myself. We're a small business. We're out here doing our thing and working hard. Got a lot of good dedicated people. What do you have any insight on what because you've been in the industry a long time? You have any insight on what you see coming down the pike, just in general, of service and parts distribution, dealers, reps? Is there going to be? I talk to people. Dealers and reps. These guys are going to merge. This is going to. I mean, it's just things are changing fast.
People say the reps are the ones that are at risk, but I've worked with reps for the last few years pretty closely, and the factories are not going to invest in a sales force to go out and pitch their products. Right. They're going to have a national sales manager, possibly regional sales manager, but the economics, the independent rep, I think, is here to stay. What they do and how they go to market is going to vary.
Yeah.
But I think the reps they have to, like we do, we all have to reinvent ourselves. So the reps are in the middle of doing that. The dealer community has rolled up. I mean, there's a few more acquisitions that could happen. And I won't name names, but you've seen the ones that are rolling up and stuff. And it seems like every time I look up FES, you see somebody else has been bought or rolled up. And I think the dealer community is probably, I'm going to say 60 or 70% done. On the service side, there's been a lot of roll-ups. There's a couple big players that are rolling them up, and I see that continuing. As second and third generation companies, as people hit that, what do I want to do the next half of my year? Play with the grandkids.
Right.
I think there's going to be more sales, and there's going to be some roll-ups, and then you've got some. The Dan Dealers of the world, they're doing a great job, and he just bought Pine Tree, and that excited me.
I think that was a great.
I do too,
because you have Gary, who is just a dynamo.
Yes.
And Dan is just an all-around good guy, super smart, and I know they've developed a really great friendship over the last several years as well, I'm really happy for both of them.
Wayne and Pat did a merger a few years back. That's a great one.
That was perfect. That was symbiotic right there.
That's right. And so the one that probably started it with the roll-ups of friends were the Sharon and Dale and Bernie.
Yes.
So those, they've kind of always been there. So I'm not sure if the smaller regional roll-ups are going to happen. I think they are. And I don't really have a concern about the bigger players buying up more market. Everybody knows who their friends are and who their enemies are and who their competitors are. We all know that. So I don't think there's anything to worry about. We just have to keep evolving and changing ourselves and listening to the customer, which you do a great job. So you have to listen to what the customer is saying. And if you do that, I think you can win the battle.
Yeah, I agree. And it's for a small business, I mentioned 13 techs. Should have 15 very shortly, and we're building on really good core guys that really know their stuff. We don't want to put anyone out there that's not ready, and we want to continually find differentiators that make us, because I always say all the time, there's say there's 15 people in this market. I mean, it's getting, there's a lot of competition. We all sell service, we all sell parts, we're all manufacturer authorized for a lot of them. What's different? I think what the differentiators are going to be for me. Is the transparency that I'm putting out online. I'm going to definitely build trust and build a different public persona and be more accessible. Technology. Like I mentioned, the technology stuff we're putting in place with Survey Square, staying in front of the customer and having customer portals. Because, as a little small service company, these buyouts they make you a little nervous. You don't know who's coming into the area, who's going to be buying things out. And I need to make sure that we're strong. I think that's what a lot of these other smaller guys are saying to themselves, because we're second generation. I'm not going anywhere. I'm 37 now. I don't plan on going anywhere for at least 25, 30 years. So, I mean, I want to make sure that we're strong here. So, yeah, there's definitely worrisome stuff, but as long as we continue to reinvent.
That's right. The third-party administrators, remember maybe 10 years ago, that was the big fear.
Yeah.
These third-party administrators are going to take all of our profit away from us. That really never materialized.
No.
And it didn't materialize because we're a lot smarter than what they gave us credit for, quite frankly. And we're not going to do stuff that doesn't pay us.
Exactly.
And so if you're in demand and technicians are in demand, that's our product. It makes sense that you stay focused on what you do best. Yeah. Most small service companies, their parts business, that was rolled up by the big 3 or 4. Yeah. So all the ones they've seen their parts business disappear, so they've had to reinvent themselves. They may not realize that, but they're focused on service, and they've reinvented themselves. So give quality service. Restaurants are going to be there. Food service facilities are going to be there. Learn to do a really good job of taking care of your customers. And I think once you get to that, you'll be not able to handle what you get. Yeah. And that's not a bad thing to have, is to be able to turn around business. It's just, can you keep bolting on more incremental business by hiring a technician, getting more product, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's the uphill battle for us too. I mean, we are at a point where we're actually kind of turning people away to a certain extent, and I think we're doing a service to these people that are calling that we're able to turn away instead of just putting them on a board. Hey, we'll get there, but we're telling them, listen, it's gonna be 4 weeks. You know,
Wow,
before we
yeah.
get to some of these places, because we have, you know, listen. Whether you know people want to hear it or not, we're going to take care of the customers that call every day, every week, every month. Our key accounts are the ones that take precedence, and that's another thing I always urge. If you want to get top notch service from any service company in your market, build a relationship.
Well, you go to Manhattan, which is not very far from here, unless you have a service plan, you can't get service.
Yeah.
So the guys like Matt Shear, they've done a rock star job
Yeah, they
of
do.
locking their customers in because they give great service.
They do.
And
They do.
when
Shout
you-
out to Rick, Matt.
So those guys do a great job, and
Yes.
so that just drives it. And I think service companies that listen to the customer and do a great job, they never have to worry about their business. They
Yeah.
just keep figuring out how to make it more profitable.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and Manhattan's a whole other animal too, man. We tried to go out there. Oh my god, the tickets and the tow and all this other stuff. It was just.
You have to have the bicycles. They have bicycles in Philly.
Do they?
Yes, they
Bicycles?
absolutely do. Yeah.
Because I've heard of some companies doing backpacks and they're riding subways and they're doing stuff like that. Yeah, the bikes. I mean that makes sense too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I was talking to a friend of ours at Elmer Schultz today, and
Okay.
they were saying that they sell parts to people that ride bikes to deliver them and stuff. So it's not Uber, it's bicycle couriers.
Yeah.
So that was
That's
only
smart.
a matter of time. It's extremely smart. It's
That's
brilliant.
smart. I like that. Maybe we should think about that. That might not. I'm not gonna work here in New Jersey. It might be tough. They'll be on biking on the highway.
Scooters and
Yeah, we have to get something else. Yeah.
Yeah, something nichey. Maybe one of those little slingshots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hoboken, they got the scooters now.
They do like Austin. Have you been to Austin?
Yeah, Austin, Texas.
Yeah,
Or-
yeah.
yeah. My daughter
Yes.
lives there.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So they have these. We were there for RIFMA. They have the scooters. You see those scooters all over the place?
yeah. We
doing
have
that
those in
Hoboken.
Minneapolis now too, where
Do they?
you can rent them. You pull in, you
Yeah.
go to a little vending thing like a parking meter and rent them.
Yeah. It's interesting. They just started doing that in Hoboken. So there's been a whole lot of craziness going on over there. I think right now, but yeah. So and another thing I'd like to do is if maybe I have a young guy or girl listening, what would you tell them is maybe to inspire them to come into the trades? Anything you could be able to tell
I
them?
think if you're looking for something that's a really good living, I consider these high-paying jobs. I mean, when you look at people that graduate from college that have a $500,000, $250,000, $100,000 debt that takes them 20 years to pay off, if you go to vocational school and you become a refrigeration technician, you can normally almost pay as you go. And when you get out of school, you can make $100,000 a year as a tech.
Yeah.
The really good techs will make six figures.
Absolutely.
And so if you're doing that, that's a whole lot better than having, $80,000, $100,000 student loan and you're out there in the workforce. So plumber, electrician, food service repair technician, those are all great jobs.
They are. They really are. And, even outside of the pay, I mean, you get into a really good company. I consider myself to be a really good company. We're a small business, but we do really good things for our guys and girls here. And the benefits, the paid time off, the vacation, you get the tablet, you get the phone, you get the gas card, the Easy Pass. If you're a technician, you get a van. It costs you $0 to come to work. I mean, I talk about this all the time. And, and I might be redundant on some of these episodes, but there's a reason for that.
Well, and the training. I mean, most people
Yeah.
want to be trained. They want to know what they need to do.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge. When you're in food service repair and you walk up to a combi oven, there's a challenge to fixing it.
Yes.
Unlike the old days when it was just a thermostat knob, all of us could fix it.
Yeah.
So, even people that weren't technicians, we could fix it. Today, you walk into a piece of equipment, you better know how to read the schematics. You better know how to follow a circuit
Yeah.
and troubleshoot. But you can learn that. It's all stuff that is. It's not easy, but it's not extremely difficult.
Right.
So you put as much effort becoming a doctor. If you say that's 1,000 on some kind of grade score, you can do the same thing with 100.
Yeah.
And become a food service technician, master technician, and I'll tell you, your pay is not going to be much different.
It's so true. And, the demand is there. So, I mean, a young guy or girl, and I say girl all the time because you don't see many, but I actually, do you know Roger Smelser at United Service Technologies?
No, I do not.
So I just got a phone with him. He has a woman technician, and they have this new platform that they use to communicate. And I loved seeing that. And I say, if any young girls out there too, this is not just a man's world. I would love to see some more women start thinking about you coming into this, because it's not just, like you said, it's not just the thermostat and a knob anymore. I mean, there's actually intricate things going on here, and it's going to happen more. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, the
of
major
what's
change
coming.
are going to combi ovens.
Yeah.
That's a whole new world for quick service.
Yeah.
So, but it's going to fit right up our alley.
Yeah.
Because the average person that doesn't receive training by his service company is not going to be able to work on a combi.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's so many benefits to coming in and locking in with a company that's forward thinking and ready to, invest in you, and you invest back. And it's just one of those things that it could be an amazing lifelong relationship. And I mean, you have guys here working 25, 30 years with this company from when my father started this. They're still here. I mean, they've built lives, houses and vacations and cars, and, it's 401k, the employer matches. I mean, these guys are going to be set. Their families are going to be set, and that's another thing. You find the people in this industry are very passionate, and they care for their people very much. And man, if there's a young guy or girl,
You've
listening-
heard the old adage: once you get in the industry, there's no getting out.
It's true.
I used to laugh when I heard
Yeah,
that,
it's
but
true.
it is absolutely true.
Just talking about that the other day, I had someone here on the podcast, and we were talking, and he had a young guy that came on board. He was about 23. It's been about 4 years he's with the company, and he said, "You're in this, man. It's got you now.
Yeah.
It's over. You're gonna retire. You're gonna retire 40 years from now in this industry."
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's the truth. Like it's just something gets a hold of you. And I think a big part of it is the people, because this is, and you could say any industry is relationship driven, but I really feel this industry is massively relationship driven.
It is. And
Tell me what you know. I'll tell you who I know.
Give me 1 second.
Oh yeah. Well, once the industry gets a hold on you, it gets a hold on you. Yeah. And with my father starting, I say I go back to '99 pretty much. That's when I graduated high school, and yeah, I mean, just from putting parts on shelves and breaking boxes to being in the parts department to doing some tech work, doing installation work, doing all this stuff. Here I am today, 20 years later.
Yeah, and can't wait to get to work in the morning.
I love it because I love the ins and outs and the intricacies of this business. Every day is different. You walk into. I mean, listen, we're in the problem business, right? We walk into problems every day, but we're also in the solutions business. We talk about it all the time here in our internal meetings. We're in the solutions business. We're here to solve problems, and there's no better feeling of that accomplishment.
That's exactly right. It's finding out what the sore spot is, making it go away.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you'll find from a lot of these senior techs, especially. Because I always want to know, like, when I sit down with them, like, are you happy? Do you wake up feeling good every day? Like these guys, man, I love my job. I love going in, talking about a combi oven or a fryer, and knowing that it's down when I get there, and when I leave, that thing's gonna be working. And now and you get it's more than just the money. You just got a whole kitchen back up and running. You saved somebody's lunch and dinner service, and these people get to feed their employees now.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it really it means something. It does mean something. So, what else do we have going on here in the industry?
I think that you're going to see more mergers,
Yeah.
more acquisitions, more roll-ups.
Yep.
I think both on the manufacturer side, that's going to happen. I think the way that the financing is done these days, you have to scale, and everything is getting scaled.
Yeah.
So, the e-commerce, they go up and they go down. They're here to stay. Dealers, they're changing. They have to. So a lot of dealers have service now.
Yeah.
And they have to because the customers want service.
Yeah.
So I don't think that doesn't go away. The buying groups, they're here to stay. They're going to drive pricing down. I don't worry at all about the Chinese metal tariffs and all that. I think that just takes care of itself.
Yeah.
Since we're all in the same pool, when pricing goes up, pricing goes up.
goes up across the
When
board.
it goes down, it
Right.
goes down. In a great economy, when there's a lot of capital, there'll be new equipment, new concepts being built. When we're in a tight capital situation, people stop buying, they start repairing.
Yeah.
So I think that it's going to be the cycle that's always going to come and go.
Yeah, I agree. And I think even on the service side, we talk about this is like it's almost recession proof. What the business that we're in, pretty much from all angles. I mean, it's recession proof. I mean, people are always eating out. Equipment, food is being prepared everywhere, more than ever. So, yeah, I think we're in such a solid industry. It mind boggles me that people just don't know enough about it. So that's why.
And the
I love
equipment
doing
has gotten
this.
so much better. What we haven't seen yet, which I think I'm going to forecast in the next
All
4 or
right.
5 years,
Here we go.
is products being bought in lieu of. So we had that in my Sears days, where they bought appliances from Whirlpool and they took care of the warranty themselves, so they got a bigger discount.
Okay.
So because the equipment is so much better, I think the forward-thinking manufacturers are going to see that we can give X chain a little bit better pricing, but because our failure rates are less than 1%, let them deal with that.
Yeah.
And there'll be some progressive thinking chains that say, hey, we can save 5, 6, 7% on a piece of equipment when we know the failure rate's less than 1%. So we'll take our chance. So I also think there'll be some companies that come in that are preventive maintenance, Warren Tech, New Level Technologies. Those companies will come in and they'll start looking at maybe taking over the warranties and being warranty processors. And I mean, I've got some friends that are in that space and they do a very good job on the retail side. They can move into the commercial side if we would provide them life cycle information. That's the only thing that's kind of slowing it down, but everybody is getting more and more life cycle information. The chains are, the manufacturers are.
Yeah.
And
Everything's about data.
and really most failure rates are down below 1%. So I think it lends itself for the next evolution, which is as a consumer, if I have a chain, maybe I buy my equipment in lieu of, and I just deal with the warranties down the road. If something happens, I take the money on the front end.
Yeah. Interesting.
So that hasn't happened, but I see that as coming down the road.
That's interesting to think. Okay. So we could start to wrap this one up a little bit. Let's talk a little bit more about All Points on the way out. Let everybody know where we could find All Points.
Okay. We have a website, www.allpointsfps.com.
Okay.
Most people know us. We're the consolidated group of ICS and CCC and just a whole bunch of
I'm
companies.
sure we all know.
And we are a sourcing company. So we go out to the component manufacturers, and everybody knows in this industry, all the manufacturers, they don't build electromechanical components, they buy them, and they source them, and a lot of electromechanical components are made in either China or Southeast Asia or in Mexico.
Yep.
And so they bring the parts over and they really bend metal and assemble. There's a lot of research, development, and all that stuff in the back room, but bending metal and sourcing components and putting it together in UL, that's their what they do.
Yeah.
And but they're using the same set of common components. So All Points has been very good historically of going out and identifying where you can buy those, where you can source them. And because of our size, our purchasing power is pretty good, so we're able to do that.
Yeah.
So I think we're in a really good spot. I don't want to criticize the other companies that do strictly OEM,
Right.
but that does keep the price points pretty high for the industry. And I think with our company, we give people a choice.
Sure. Cool.
So-
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and of course we don't think we really have any social media channels to let anybody know about. We're not there yet.
Not
So
yet.
what we're going to propose is Malachy Digital is here to help All Points Diversified get online and start creating content. So we should talk about that.
Absolutely.
Love to help you guys get on board. We are a resource to the industry. And all right, cool. So we'll take this one down. I appreciate you being on.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave. So we're going to take this one down, the Care Factor Food Service Equipment Podcast for the industry. I appreciate you all being here. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.